right, we live?
I don't know.
Yes, it does. It says
You
live.
are.
Look, everybody wave. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Jones Girl Live. This is our special, well, it was supposed to be monthly, but we've been busy. Salt Shaker Conversations. So this is usually my monthly conversation where I invite my sisters, my family, other people on to discuss an important topic of the moment. And I want everybody to introduce themselves. We're going to start with my oldest sister, Dr. Carmen Harris. Go ahead and start.
I'm her oldest sister, Dr. Carmen Harris.
That's all you have to say. She is Dr. Carmen Harris. She is a vice principal at an elementary school in Florida. My niece, Christina Jordan Harris, here is just talent. It's extraordinaire. She's so much like an auntie. Y'all gonna see that later on in this video. And of course, my other sister, Crystal Jones Walton. I had to add the Jones just so y'all can know that we are, y'all see how we all related. All right. My other sister, who is actually a minister of the gospel, has her own organization and ministry called Watchmen Women. All right. We do have one sister that is missing, and we're gonna throw some shade real quick because she has been on our phone calls and our text messages because she said she didn't want to be on camera today, but we still love her. But we throwing her a little bit of shade today since she missed our Salt Shaker conversation. So that's okay. So we're gonna go on. And I'm Kiara. I am the owner of the Jones Girl Inc. I have an empowerment brand, and my whole goal is to make sure that women are living their God-given lives to the absolute fullest. So we are talking about, I probably saw the title, we are talking about colorism, confidence, and the Black girl. All right. So first of all, let's talk about colorism. All right, and what that is. Can somebody give me a definition? I have it on here of what people said what colorism is. Anybody want to dive into that first? I'm going to do it since ain't nobody talking. All right, so colorism basically is a practice of discrimination by which lighter skin is treated more favorably than those with darker skin. So that's pretty much, it can be in social, it can be business, it can be whatever. So it's usually within the race of African Americans, it can be within whatever race. So wherever you are, the lighter skin is usually deemed better or more powerful or more affluent or whatever than those of darker skin. So I wanted to start out basically with my experience with colorism, right? And so as you can see, see how my family, we all chocolate women. We all chocolate women. Well, Crystal's a little bit lighter. She like mama color. Yeah, so she like mama color. But we were raised, you know, I grew up in the 80s, all right? And 80s was like light skin century. Okay. That's
Prince, Elder Barge.
Prince, you know, Michael Jackson.
Lady, was it Vanity?
Yeah, Vanity. She was Lady Laura. You know, all of the icons and everything were light-skinned women, so they were the ones that were considered to be beautiful. And so anybody, and we were just talking right before we got online, when we were watching, we talk about movies like Coming to America, where the woman who ended up being the queen and the object of the king's, the prince's affection was a light-skinned woman. But the antagonist, the sister, was the dark-skinned one who was not attractive. She getting a scrap. Why does she always get the good ones? You know, that whole idea. So you see that whole idea kind of being perpetuated like throughout our childhood, like throughout. But in our household, we had a different standard in our household. And so even though we had a mom who was lighter complexion, you know, and so I always use Crystal as an example because mom was closer to Crystal's skin color, maybe a little lighter because mom, you know, that's mom's complexion after being in the sun, you know, but mom naturally, and your mom, lighter skin. My father was very dark, right? So the daughters, all of us came out very dark. So my mom made it a big deal for us for her to make sure that we felt like we were pretty, because she knew that the media and that the world was going to try to say otherwise. And so remember how Mama used to burn the food?
She did. But she would intentionally make cookies and burn the bottoms. Yes. And then take the cookie. Christina, and take the cookie.
She did.
And if it was like a cookie that was not burnt, she would intentionally say, oh no, this is no good. No. Everything dark is good. Everything dark. And she would put them back in the oven. Let it get good and black on the bottom. Yeah. And she would eat that cookie like it was the best thing she'd ever tasted.
And she would eat it in front of us.
In front of us and say, this is like so good.
Wait, what's up, Crystal?
Wait. Wait. Okay, wait. Okay, wait. So I grew up with them. Not Christina. Christina wasn't born. But I grew up with them. And so with them means our moms are sisters, fair skin, our dads are darker hued. And so I grew up with them. And so it's so funny. I never remember any of those, like those things. And even in our chat, I said, I never knew that colorism was a thing for them because I never heard it mentioned. I've never seen, like I used to always hear my uncle / he's like my dad, my uncle / daddy, like God rest his soul. But he used to always do the moniker, the Jones girl thing. And that was just always the celebratory thing. So to hear my aunt say, no, don't eat that cookie because it ain't cooked well through and through, I laugh, not because, the burnt thing. I'm laughing because I'm like, she always took a moment to teach. Like she always, even down to cookies.
Yeah.
I mean, to cookies. But yes, I don't want to be like the one on here laughing about like dark stuff or whatever. So that's why I'm laughing. I'm very intentional about like.
Oh no.
I mean, it don't bother because
I mean, not y'all. Yeah, not y'all.
Because what's crazy, I think it was the teaching part is like my dad would always say to me, I mean, like all the time, just random, you're every man's dream.
Yep, always.
And I mean, it would be off, like just kind of like random, just, well, you did good. And I come, oh, Dad, look, I gotta tell you, I did this today. But you're a Jones girl, so why really? Like you won, you're supposed to win. It's like, oh, okay. And I remember being in 6th grade. I won't say the guy's name because he probably don't see this and he'll be shamed. But don't want to call his name. But I was walking the hallway, 6th grade, and in middle school, and I could still see what I had on, these acid wash jeans, like a hot mess. But my daddy said I was every man's dream, and Mama done burnt enough cookies at this point. And, I mean, and so this guy reaches out and like tries to grab my butt, and I move his hand, and I said, "Get your hands off me!" And he was like, "Shut up with your black self." And I looked at him. That's just because you want me. And in my mind, like that was true. Like you're only saying that because you want me, because I've heard over and over, you're every man's dream. And then these burnt cookies. So really you want me and you just mad because I don't want you. So that's but that was a part of that process of really not experiencing the colorism to that degree. And I appreciate my parents, both of them, they've gone on. For the early foundation of that. I don't want to take over the salt shaker, but I am interested with Christina on here because she and I are the same color. And so I'm interested in as a mother, you share, because I'm interested, I'm listening as a mother. Is this like the red table talk type salt shaker?
Yes. So the next generation of the Jones girls got to say.
Right, so I'm just curious in your take, because as a mom having a daughter, my first daughter, I knew she was dark because her ears, when she was born, the tip of her whole ear, normally, you have babies, it'd be a little tip, her whole ear was black. So I was like, oh, okay, I got a little chocolate bunny. I know I got a chocolate bunny. And so I tried to be intentional And then I think seeing aunties that look just like this was everywhere. Black is everywhere. Black is beautiful. So I'm curious to you, Christina, to talk about your experience as a dark-skinned girl, and some of your takes on certain things.
So I've never really had confidence issues.
We know that, but
we know that, baby.
But I've always, like, there's always been like subconsciously that thing where it's like, oh, she's light skinned, so like the guys might, so like let's say me and my homegirls walking in the mall, and you know I have two fair skinned girls with me, right? And two guys walk up to us, they gonna naturally go to her. Like it just happens, you know? And I do think that now society is very more open to being dark skinned, you know, like people like it more, you know, because more girls are like, okay, I'm dark skinned, you got the natural hair thing is, you know, popping now, right? So but like I have dealt with, you know, colorism. At the time I didn't know it was colorism, I know that's what it was called. But you know, like when I was in 3rd grade, I remember it was this little boy and he was like calling me a burnt biscuit, you know, like stuff like that, because kids are mean, like, you know. And I remember I was so sad about it. I was so sad. I was so sad. I remember this other boy that I liked in third grade. Ooh. 3rd grade, I liked this boy and he ended up liking the lighter skin, the fair skin girls. So, you know, I was always like, you know, but I will say, like you said, the Come to America thing, that's very similar. Now, ooh. Okay, hold on, my friend called me. So sorry. But the Coming to America thing that you said is very still, like, it's similar to this day. There's so many like shows and things where they've been redone or recasted, originally with a dark skinned girl, and now it's a lighter skin or a fair skinned girl. Prime example, I don't know if you guys have seen The Hate U Give, but on the book, the front cover of The Hate U Give, it's a dark skinned girl with a big afro and she has a sign. But then when they remade it in the movie, it was the fair skinned girl, right? So that's still very, very much a thing. And I will say, I don't know if we get into this, but there's not a lot of, I say this all the time and I've been noticed this, but there's not a lot of dark-skinned women represented on TV, right? So even when we talk about Blackish, it's a light-skinned family, right? Their entire family is light-skinned. I don't know if that's because, you know, they wanted Tracy as the mom and they like, oh, well, her kids gotta be light-skinned, right?
And so for me, with the glasses, who they always call Urkel. And I don't like that because you know, and that's what, you know, even with
Marseille.
And I love Marseille Martin, and I love that show, and I watch that show. But I would notice, right, how the father character in the show, Andre Johnson, the dad, always doted on Zoe, which is the older daughter, the light-skinned daughter, and then the little dark-skinned daughter of his, he will always pick and call her name, like he would call her Gurgle, like a girl Urkel or whatever. And I'm like, but you're not showing the same doting affection to your dark-skinned daughter. And so, see, I don't even know if they paid attention to that. Maybe, I'm not sure. But those are things that I noticed. One of the things that I was telling my sister that I appreciated about the show Family Matters was that Laura was dark-skinned, had big, full, gorgeous head of hair, and they always referred to her as the prettiest girl in school. You remember that? Like that show, they were always, and she was a cheerleader, and she was smart, and she was the president of the debate team, and she was the president of student council, and she was, and they even talked an episode about her saving herself and not wanting to be pressured into like all of these awesome things. And she was a dark-skinned girl, because usually the dark-skinned girl in shows, like we was just talking about Greenleaf.
Honey, Charity just
Charity,
honey, Charity.
Listen,
honey,
Charity, Charity, you know,
Charity's got so many issues.
Right. Anyway. And they give you, I don't know if you watch Greenleaf, sister cousin, but Greenleaf, the show about the
I love it though.
Family. And so even in that, there is this presentation that says, to me, now I'm looking as a dark-skinned woman, to me, there is a presentation that says this polished sister, which is the older one, she's the pastor. She got the long hair. She has like she do it all. Whatever. And then the one who was darker skinned, always trying to come up.
Yep.
The first husband was gay. He left her. The second man, they want her. He left her for somebody. Then the one who just like he left her for somebody white. Then so I'm just like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
It's kind of bad because but I'm looking at this and saying it's subconscious almost of this is what you and so what my niece is experiencing, what Christina is experiencing is really the subconscious programming over and over and over again. So this is one of the issues that I have, right? I go places and people have to look at me. They almost like look twice, like double take, and say, wow, you're actually pretty.
Yeah.
Actually.
Like you have to like as if it's a shock that because and I remember being in the girl and I've never gotten that from people outside of my race. White people never say that. White people look at me and say, "Oh my God,
classified together." Yeah.
Never said anything like that. I've never heard that from a white person. This is always from people within my race. And so I remember being in Walgreens one day, and this girl, she had a light complexion. She was bright skinned, and she was ringing me up, and she did a double take. Like, she said, "You actually pretty." And I said, "I'm sorry." And she said, "Because you're dark skinned." And she didn't even think that there was anything wrong with what she was saying. She said, "Because you're dark skinned." And I said, every dark-skinned woman I know is beautiful. I'm not understanding. Yeah. She was like, "No, I'm trying to," and she actually thought she was giving me a compliment. Mm-hmm. And so I've had that happen to me you're so pretty to be dark-skinned.
Mm-hmm. And now see, I'll say this, I'm the oldest one on here. So I think it's interesting that just even looking through history, when you use the TV examples, because of the programming of our parents, I am drawn to certain things. So one of my favorite characters on TV, who I just thought was just amazing, was Living Single Max. Loved her. Loves her. Dark skin, she was smart, she was witty, and always I loved her hair. When I went to college, I even got braids like hers at one point because I just love the fact that was positive representation of a dark skinned girl on TV. And I love, her relationship with oh God, what was his name? Her brother, Kyle, that she treated so bad. I absolutely loved it. And I thought about even Different World when Kim made the come up when she was the club singer. Christina, you wouldn't know anything about it. She sung at the club and thought she was too good for everybody else. Right? And we watched her embrace her color and be okay, right? Because they did episodes about it to recognize that this is it. But I like the empowerment that they always felt through that, because part of even when people say you're pretty or not pretty, or you're good or not good, some of that comes from what they get from you. Have you ever seen somebody that was not good looking? And I'm sorry, we've got to be honest, people. Come on, because everybody has their own opinions about faces and look. And you look over and you say, now that's not an attractive person. Mm-hmm. But then they start walking across the room, and it's the way they, little swag in the shoulders, and they slide their hand in their pocket, and you go, now you know what? There's something about, so part of that really, right, even the contribution comes from the inside. Not that the system isn't there, right? That system of colorism, even in this whole world that we're dealing with right now, because there's a system of colorism, right? That's a part of that. But some of that, or the way you can deflect or even grow, is the way that you view yourself, right? Like the way that you view yourself. For those of you that are watching, we have a phrase, all of them on here know it, but we have a phrase, because we can be home looking a hot mess, but then you put on your clothes and you walk out, and we'll say, girl, I was too clean to speak. Because I got my...
Yes, honey, I ain't speaking to nobody.
I look so good, I can't even talk to nobody, honey. I walk in sideways.
Yes.
I just knew I looked at it.
Wait, Christina had a good one time. Christina was getting ready for homecoming. This thing made me choke. I was laughing so bad. it caught me completely off guard. She said, Auntie, I look so good. She said, I was the best thing in there. She told me I couldn't even walk in the room. I had to hop. I was screaming. I said, Lord, one thing about these Jones girls, honey, we don't lack no confidence, man.
Say what you want.
Yeah. She's talking about, Auntie, I ain't walking the room. I hop. I said, okay, listen.
They had to know.
Come on, then.
So it's really about finding that element of space and being okay in that space. Yeah. There was a rapper. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I'm still on Busta Rhymes and Biggie and Tupac. So anybody after that, I don't know. But I do know that there was a rapper.
Okay.
A rapper that made a statement about not liking dark-skinned girls or whatever the statement was. Yeah. And there was this outcry. Oh, and then I had to say, y'all, it sometimes it's okay. He's just not attracted to dark-skinned girls. That's no reflection on me. That's his taste, right?
Yeah.
But being okay with the skin that I'm in, and I always tell women, you're only looking for one anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Like
that ain't
yeah.
Right. That ain't, and I know that ain't what this is about.
Yeah.
But there's you.
Right.
So
no, but it is because
part,
I think we get so offended when people.
Somebody in the chat asking to take me on a date. Sorry.
Your husband, Lord, stop flirting in this thing. We trying to change lives. so anyway, I was say, the issue that I don't have an issue with people saying, oh, I like this type, I like this type. The issue comes in for me when you say, well, all Black women are, or all dark. No, because you don't know all dark women. You don't know all Black women to be able to make that statement. So, like me personally, I like dark-skinned men. That's my that's my personal preference. I don't think there's anything wrong with my personal preference, like with what I'm attracted to. And so there's nothing wrong with anybody being attracted to a light-skinned woman. We had a family member, Lord Jesus, some years ago, wanted to introduce us to his significant other, his girlfriend. And so we ain't gonna say no name. Hallelujah. And so he's like, yeah, I want y'all to meet my girl, whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, is she cute? His response was, she red. Like what? So we're like, what that got to do with what I just asked you? So that, like, to him, it's like she automatically cute because she red, because she light skin. So red was called light skin. So I said, okay. And so I remember he brought her to the service. To church, and he was gonna bring her. When I tell you, they practically had to peel us off the floor. We laughed so bad because I was like, she ain't even cute. Like that ain't even, it's not because and Lord, I don't want to call nobody her ugly. God bless her. Help us, Lord. But that ain't what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying was his idea was she's automatically attractive because she's light skinned. And we were like, I don't get that, And so
and to preface it, everyone's beautiful to someone.
To somebody. And
everyone is beautiful.
He ended up breaking up with her and wouldn't talk to her no more.
Yeah, because y'all did treat that girl bad though.
He did her bad that night. It was embarrassed to be with her, talking about she was gonna have to find a ride home because
Y'all, it was bad. It was bad.
Go ahead.
I think we could encourage him to take a good look. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So would you say that socialization, because socialization is the concept of you becoming who you are as a result of your environment, right?
Right.
So would you say home socialization versus the world, media, who you're dating, your friends, you would say home socialization is very important because it debunks what the media and the world or some friends or some guys may say.
Yes, because without our...
I want to hear from my child.
Oh, go ahead. I saw your hand, baby.
I agree 100%. I think that being around, like having a dark skinned mama and having like pretty dark skinned aunties and like people telling me like in the family, like you're beautiful, and me growing up like knowing like Auntie Kiki is beautiful, like dark skinned people are beautiful, right? So I think that having that foundation really definitely helped me, especially with different encounters that I've had, because there's a lot of people that, you know, my ex-boyfriend used to tell me all the time,
you're not allowed to have a boyfriend.
You better leave my niece alone. We not going to talk about that
your
on
friend, that your guy friend.
Guy
go
friend.
Ahead.
No, your little guy friend.
Go ahead.
He used to tell me all the time,
you're
the only dark skin I would date. Like, I would not, you the only dark skin I would never date. You pretty for a dark skin. Like, you used to tell me that all the time. Red flag, red flag.
Oh, we glad he gone then. Yeah, we don't know. He got to
But
go.
here's the thing, right? He was a dark skinned, you know, man.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've kind of like noticed is that a lot of times, like, you got rappers, you know, not too, well, I mean, you can say Tupac, because that's all y'all would really know. But Kodak, you know, new rappers, right, on the media, when they get a girlfriend, she light skinned, or she, you know. And so I think that with all of that going on in the world, and you having guys who a lot of times their preference is a light skin, and then you get with one and they like, oh, this is the, you know, if you know in your heart, like my mama said, like you are beautiful regardless of what other people say, then it won't even matter, because it's like, okay, you have your preference, right? And also when Tiki said, it's not really about, like, I don't care about preference, you know, like people have their preference. I'm not mad because your preference is a light-skinned girl. The issue comes when you begin to bash or talk bad about the dark-skinned community, because it's like, okay, well, you know, so everybody has their preference. I think he said dark skin. Yes, sir.
There's a
right,
statement.
everybody, you know, you can choose whatever you want. It's just that we start to stereotype. And I think one of the things to talk about your point, Crystal, when you were talking about the home basis and how that's really the most important thing. So what do we do with our young girls? One of the things that I do, I make it a point as a Black woman, when I see a chocolate little queen, I make sure I let her know that she's gorgeous. I was riding by a restaurant. I saw the little girl in the window. I turned around, pulled my car in, went inside to make sure she knew. I said, if you have, and she was looking at me like, I've never heard that before, but that's why I had to stop my car. Yeah. To look you in your face, to let you know that you are gorgeous. And it don't matter what anybody else say to you after this point. I want you to remember that this lady came and made her way in here to you to let you know that you are beautiful. So you got to affirm your children at home. You know, you got to let your daughters know. I don't know if we remember the video that went viral of the little girl who was getting her hair done.
Oh, yeah. That made me sad.
That made me cry. When I tell you, that hurt me to my core. And she said, I'm ugly. And I said, but this is what this baby is probably hearing all the time. Yeah. And so that's why I look at my parents and I appreciate them so much, because they were so wise. And mama used to overdo it. Mama overcompliment. Child, what? Honey, you come in, you take the whole show. So honey, I ain't got no problem pumping up myself, honey. Yeah, I hear you over there, my other baby. I hear you over there. And so I knew how to pump myself up. If I'm going somewhere, oh child, it's my function to be the cleanest thing in the room with this pretty dark skin. You understand? So we got to make sure that whatever we can contribute to the conversation, whatever we can contribute to the culture, well, we're stopping. And I like to make sure, even if they're not little girls, they're women. If I see women and I'm like, honey, you are beautiful, because sometimes you just need somebody. Yeah. You don't know whether or not that person has heard. You don't know whether or not that person has ever heard those words, but you make it a point. Yeah. To do it for somebody else.
And can I address a comment in the chat? Many men don't even look at color as a variable in decision making. Is this a primary woman thing?
No, and based off of who made that comment, I can see why he said that. But people other than you Chris.
That was my dad.
Yeah, your dad. But your
Somebody
dad
get him out the chat.
Yeah, your dad
I wanted
to
to add something. I do that too, Auntie. That's interesting. Like I'll see somebody and I don't even know them, but like, cause you don't know. Sometimes people don't like they're beautiful, but they don't hear it, and so they don't know, right? Or they weren't told that at home. But I definitely want to say that I think that social media definitely plays a part in how sometimes people feel in themselves. So if they don't got a lot of likes on Instagram. And that's why media is a blessing and a curse, right? Because you can, if you got a business, you can get to, right. But a lot of people base their confidence and enoughness off likes or comments or repost, and that's who cares? Like a lot of these be ghost accounts, anyways, right? And but it's like once you get to a point where you're like, even if I had 0 likes, I know I'm still the baddest thing on the block. Once you have that, then it's like, that's how you know that you're confident in your own skin. You don't need little boys to like you to know that you're the baddest thing, right? I don't know if we could talk about God, right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So if you look at a painting, right? A painting is not valuable because of what it looks like. It's valuable because of who made it. Because of who made it, right? And so when you look back and you say, God, you died for me, right? Once you recognize that, like, he wouldn't have died like for nothing. Like, obviously, you have some type of value, right? When you reckon, like, and then you look at the Bible, you talk about God, we're your workmanship, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's it. We're valuable because of God.
There's actually a lot of connotation or depiction of dark African American women in the Bible. There's Zipporah, who was Midian, the priest's daughter. They were in the desert.
Yeah.
She was, There's Sheba. She was an African woman. She was dark skinned. There's also
Solomon.
His wife. His wife. So he talks about her dark skin. So there is beauty in darkness, and I also want to kind of touch on the rainbow, because you guys mentioned I am a lighter hue than you guys, but there's actually a lighter hue than me.
Right.
There's my mom,
right.
And I have a lighter skinned brother, and then I have a brother who's actually my color. So there's different levels to this issue that makes it. Beyonce made a song. She said there's complexities to complexion. And so it's a complex issue because it's so many different factors. Slavery, right? There's so many religious factors. There's so many. And so if you don't have that home-based identity affirmation in check, those different factors can play. And I'll just take it from a flip side. So I grew up around African-American women, dark skinned, right? And then I grew up around those who were my complexion and brown. And I was raised really close with 2 sets of cousins. So it's like, I always saw that, hey, yeah, these are 3 dark-skinned girls. But I remember I read a book, and I think in college, and I sent it to one of y'all, I think Kiki. And all of them, they were dark-skinned. They were sisters. They were 3 sisters. And I said, they have the same eyes as my cousins. And so I was like, they're the most beautiful, like, people in my mind. And I was like, I knew you guys were darker only because, look, we're like a rainbow. Our moms, right? Super bright. And then there's us. But then I'm a lighter hue, y'all darker hue. But I just remember, I never thought you guys were any different than any other girl because y'all always got to do. Right. And so said that in our chat, I was like, colorism, why are we talking about this? We ain't got no validity, you know what I mean? And I was just like, y'all got stories? And so they was just like, girl, yeah, but it didn't stick. And so for me, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna stay silent on this because I don't have the same experience, but that doesn't nullify the fact that y'all do have experiences, you know what I mean? And so if I was to get on a chat with if all y'all was brighter, our mom's color, y'all have a different story than my story. Right. And so it's so complex to the fact that there's a light-skinned woman, Beyonce, did an actual song about brown-skinned girls, and people was just like, why she doing that song? She ain't even dark-skinned. It was like a whole thing. Yeah. And so I was like, oh man, that just sucks, because she is dark in her market, right? She's in music and she's considered African American because she is woman. So it's complex because she got that lighter hue, like our moms, right? She has that light hue, so it's complex. And so you just, you know, it's important to see yourself in the eyes of God. And it is important for you to affirm yourself. And if you don't know how to do that, get around people who do. And so Christina was, like she said, she was socialized in it. It was like my mom dark skin, my aunt's dark skin, you know. And so for me, again, I was shocked that y'all even had stories, because like I said, y'all always had the guy, or y'all always had, you know, so yeah. Well, and then,
no, it's interesting. You said one of the comments here says they watched the documentary Dark Girls. I haven't seen it, but I was familiar with it. And I remember, and this has been since being an educator, we were about to do an undoing racism training. None of us knew each other. So you got educators, there are about 150 of us in the room. And the professor came in, the presenter came into class, and without introducing herself, she pointed to me and like 7 other ladies randomly, like 1, 2, you know, she said, come up here. And I'm looking like, okay, I don't know these ladies. What, I mean, she just pointed like, come. And then she said, now put yourselves in order of importance.
Wow.
And so I just walked over to the end, and we didn't speak. We did not say a word, and we're able to line up, and we put ourselves in a color order from lightest to darkest. Wow. The presenter was a Black female. All of us were Black. She did not choose a white person at all. So all of us were Black. And so, of course, everybody's looking, those that were non-Black look, and they're going, what in the world was that? Was it planned? Was it rehearsed? Say, no, it's what society would say. Yeah. It's what society has perpetuated. And the clear evidence, so you took 7 strangers that did not know each other at all. And you said, based on society, because I knew now if it was based on me, I would have been elbowing the girl in the front, you know, get out of the way. But I saw where she was going with the story. I didn't want to mess it up for the lady. You know, I didn't want to ruin a little presentation. You know, they hadn't paid me. Let the lady do a job. Let the lady do a job. But I just really saw, like, it was really an eye-opening moment. And I like what Crystal said, because everybody did not get that foundational upbringing or that foundational piece to be secure. My son the other day, and he's right over there, so he's probably gonna hear this. The other day came and he was sharing that he was bothered by something and he was upset, and I could tell it was really getting to him. And I said to him, man, listen, what's the point in being a believer? I know this ain't a believer's broadcast, but I can't help it.
It's always a believer's broadcast.
I said to him, what is the point in being a believer? I said, because it works like this. It's weighing you down, and you say, God, I don't want it. So you push it off. I said, that's what the Bible tells us we can do. We can push it off. I'm talking. Push it off, right? Excuse me, we are live. Sorry. Push it off, right? And so I was letting him see that the whole basis of areas of openness and gaps and brokenness, it is not we can't be physically born again, but we can be born again, which is a form of regeneration, so that we can regenerate our mind to then have that proper foundation, and we can put that on him. Like, I may have some gaps in this. I may not feel as confident in this area. I may not feel as secure, or my parents weren't as knowledgeable, or because I'm of the belief that parents do the best that they can. I'm an advocate for parents every day, even if your parents didn't do right by you, in their mind somewhere they believe they were doing the best they could for you. That's just kind of a core professional and personal belief of mine. So even in those gaps, I know that we can cast those things, and that God is able to fill the gap in those broken areas. So if you see yourself, and he can change the way you view yourself. You view yourself like this today, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, because in the words of my daughter, because it's who made me, right?
Right.
So I'm really looking and evaluating where I am, right? And how to get to where I need to be. Because my color ain't gonna change, honey. You could bleach it. I don't want to call it the rap. Now I did see this, y'all. The rapper, I don't call her name, but she is from my day. That's why I know her. That bleached her skin and had beautiful dark skin.
She did.
Oh,
it might be the injections though that messed her up. Anyway,
whatever it was, she went and lights her skin up.
And I mean, in the words of my dearly departed mother, she looks super bad, right? Because clearly,
you are so stupid.
She do look bad. She did do too much. She did.
She looks super bad.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
Right? But that's a sign of that brokenness, right? I'm trying to get to this place that I can't get to. And so it's good to know that the Father can get us to that place. So if you're listening and you're saying, they ain't do right by me, or I'm in my 40s, or I'm 45 and it's too late for me. No, it's not. So I just wanted to offer that free piece of cheap advice.
Yeah, people can't fill that void.
And somebody made a comment earlier, I think that was Kalonji, made a comment earlier about even the hair texture and feeling a certain way about our natural hair texture, because we were talking about that as well. You gonna say something?
You're so dumb.
Listen, I was always self-conscious. That was an area of self-conscious. Mama may never pump up our hair, nothing like that. Mama said that.
We knew it pleasing that.
So that was an area for me where I was not confident in wearing my natural hair. And recently, a friend of mine, Michelle Farrington, she actually owns her own hair care line. You use her hair care line.
I use her stuff,
use her stuff. And so I was telling her, I was like, girl, I got bad hair. You got good hair. And she said, there's no such thing as bad hair. She said, She was selling a product, honey, because this stuff bad, child. No, listen. She taught me something. No, she had taught me something. Because now I feel confident wearing my natural pattern. She said the issue is that a lot of times with black hair, the moisture, like there's nothing on the market to teach you how to moisturize your hair. She said if you learn how to moisturize your hair and it becomes manageable that way, she said there is no such thing as bad hair, especially when this is the hair that God gave you. She said you got to learn how to appreciate the hair that you got. Now, but if you want to weave, wear weave. If you want to wear perm, wear perm. And those are your choices. But don't your choice isn't based off of you feeling like who I naturally am is insignificant, or you know what I'm saying, it's not enough. So that was another thing, and I thought that was a very key when it comes to the black hair texture thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's another important point. So I like to make sure that even all of my nieces, I got how many of y'all is it? 5? You, Lovey, Danielle 2, and Crystal. So it's 5. 5 nieces that I love to shower with compliments. I go on y'all little Facebook pages, y'all Instagram pages, and y'all so pretty and so cute, so this, so that. And Danielle,
baby tried to make myself make herself up yesterday because
she think you beautiful, honey. And she came on. We FaceTime yesterday, and she's 2 years old.
She had markers.
She had the little markers, took a little pencil, something to on her face. And I said, well, Fred, what did you put on your face? And she said, I did my makeup. And she was so serious. I was screaming. I was like, oh my God, she was so serious. And she's so confident. And she's 2. And she's like, I'm beautiful.
Yes.
I'm a princess. Yep.
Yeah, I'm a princess.
And
all that.
Because she's watching everything mom and her sister does. And so that's why I said socialization is very important, right? Think about ourselves, what we pass on to the people around us. Because again, this baby too, she don't even halfway know how to do nothing, but she knows she's beautiful. She know makeup is something you put on your face. How do you know? Right? So it's a marker. It's a marker. Right. But to her mind, it's an eyebrow pencil.
Yeah.
So, it's important if somebody's on this live, like if you have a daughter, make sure you're intentional with her, right? Her hair, we're talking about hair, we're talking about confidence, we're talking about skin tone. Make sure today from this before you tell her something great about herself every day, because it makes the difference. Like they talk about their dads and their moms. Like my dad wasn't in my home for a lot of my life, but my mom was very intentional because she knew she was fairer skinned than I was. And she always complimented me on how beautiful and pretty I was. And so she was very intentional with that. And so she would always tell me, you look like your aunt this one, and you get from this aunt. And so she always affirmed who I was and what I was and how I was. So it's super, super important that you're intentional about the messaging that you're sending to your children, not just the girls, but your children.
And guys too, because I'm sure
the
guys
guy,
know that. Yeah. And so even while we're in the midst of the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's happening and the changes that are being made, as we're making global changes, we want to make sure that we're making changes in our home, that we're making sure that we are affirming our daughters. We want to make sure that you are encouraging and affirming your sons. When you see, I make it a point when I see Black men, I go out and I walk every morning. I ain't seen you in a couple of days, Mr. Randall. Throw that in there. But I usually see people out walking around the track. I usually see people walking, and I make sure that I give Black men eye contact, and I always say, good morning, sir. Because there is something when we start to affirm each other. Sometimes we scrabble so much to get the outside to affirm. We want, to be accepted in, Eurocentric standards and all of these things. But if we don't start to affirm ourselves with, just among ourselves, when we're out at the store or whatever, making the effort in our own communities. And you don't got to go and have no big event and all this stuff. We are Black women at the brunch. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Do that when you feel like you want to do that. But I'm talking about day-to-day interaction, day-to-day kindness, and day-to-day respect. Yeah. All right. So that's all I got. Anybody else? Christina got it. Yes, please.
I agree, because right now, like on the media, there's this challenge kind of going around where it's talking about, so it'll show a Black man, like a dark-skinned man, and it'll show like an action that he's doing, right? So it's like how dark-skinned men go boxing, he and then it says then how light skins and he's stripping on the little big thing, the little, right? So so it's it's just real bad. It's just so like Auntie said, we cannot be divided amongst ourselves. We must, love on each other, because it's so much division and people try to push us, away from each other and make us, try to have self-confidence issues, but we gotta love on our own people.
Yeah. I'll say one last thing. Netflix has a ton of real African movies, like tons of real African movies. And me and my husband watch them a lot in different TV shows. And one thing we always say is Africa's standard of beauty is so different than the United States standard of beauty. And I said, look at the confidence and the pride and the unity that they have in the way they look and the way they respect themselves and each other. And so I said, man, if we African Americans, if we can take anything, and these are movies, right? So we're talking about images projected, right, over time. And since the Black Lives Matter, these movies have really popped up. And so we watched them, and I said, man, if we didn't have such a breakdown in our culture and who we are, we would be just as proud, just as celebratory, and just as like intentional. When I tell y'all, watch them. They're not as quality as, of course, the US movies, but watch them.
We call those Clarence pictures right there.
It'll open your mental map to who we really are. Really are, because so much of the culture is there. So much of our language is there. And so much of our religion is there, right? And so it's like you learn and you grow by being intentional. So I say get more. If you don't have somebody around you, again, affirming you, you got Netflix. You know, you got social media. Go follow. I follow like African magazines. And when I tell you beautiful, I mean beautiful models, beautiful people. And so, you know, just like we work on anything else, work on your own self-esteem. Like it's nobody else's job to make you feel better about yourself. Like don't have an inferior mindset. Just see yourself the way God sees you. Read a book.
Yeah.
Read the book. Read the Bible. But then get new messaging in your eyes and in your ears. And so that's my take. So yeah.
That's good stuff. Look, do you have anything, Carmen?
Someone said they wanted to say something, and I've been trying to hold it down. So I
okay. What you got to
say?
Hey, friend. Hey. Nothing.
Hey,
yeah. For the last 5 minutes, it's been
been talking the whole time, but then don't got nothing to say. Okay. All right.
Say hi, Tina.
All right. You guys go and check out my website, www.thejonesgirl.com. I do a lot of storytelling on there. I have a lot of different interviews and perspectives of different things on that site. Have a lot of different exciting things coming up. We're going to try to keep Salt Shaker conversations going because I've been getting a request for that for a very long time. We've just been it's been kind of crazy trying to get us all together. You see, we got one person missing. Not because she's busy,
purposely
because she's refusing to show up. But that's okay.
We're gonna tag her in this video.
So come join us when we do this next time. Check out my website, join the mailing list. Because I do have some exciting things coming up, and I do want you all to be a part of it and to be the first to get it. All right. Again, that's www.thejonesgirl.com. Thank you so much on today's conversation of today's Salt Shaker conversation. We'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.